Most people have no idea they're making this mistake, but it is the reason your house still feels cluttered even when you've decluttered. Tell me if this sounds familiar. You pull everything out of a cabinet, you put it in pretty baskets and you add labels on it, you rearrange things, but a month later it looks like it did before. Or maybe you feel like you're decluttering all of the time and you've tried a lot of the common decluttering advice, like making sure everything has a home or adopting stronger storage solutions, but nothing ever actually feels lighter. Your house still feels too full. Here's the reason that most people fail to see. You are probably not actually decluttering, you're just organizing your clutter. Sure, maybe you throw a few things away as you organize, but are you truly decluttering? And this isn't just a you problem. Most people are struggling with this same mistake. It is estimated that the average home now has over 300,000 items in it. And most of that stuff isn't even being used. It's estimated that most of us only use 20% of the clothes in our wardrobe. We're all grabbing the same favorite mug over and over again, even if we have 10 to choose from. Most professional organizers are very willing to tell you that most people will regularly use only a fraction of what they own, and the rest is just taking up space. And the easy answer, it seems, would be just to get rid of it, right? But we don't. We store it. More than a quarter of us can't park in our garages because they're overflowing, and Americans spend over $38 billion a year on self-storage solutions. So we're not really decluttering. We're just organizing what we already have. We're taking our clutter and we're moving it around, which is why your house still feels cluttered even when you feel like you've decluttered. So to talk about how to fix this, let's look at a few common culprits, shall we? I don't like, am I inviting you out on a date? I don't know, that was interesting. Anyways, we'll start right here in the pantry. Super common area to get organized over and over again, but never actually get decluttered. We pull everything out, we organize it into bins, we decant items, but besides a few expired things, usually nothing actually leaves the pantry. And food is tricky because so much of it feels like really responsible to keep. We hold on to things for the just in case moment, the backup pasta, the extra sauce, the random ingredient that we swear we're going to use in a recipe someday. A really stocked pantry for most of us feels like being prepared. So even if it's something that's been sitting there untouched for a year or longer, it doesn't register as clutter in our mind because it's food. And when everything is tucked into bins or lined up really well, it looks organized, which makes it even harder to realize how much of it we're not actually using. Bathrooms and extra storage spots are another kind of like black hole of clutter. Most of it is hidden, right? It's like behind a cabinet door or it's tucked in a drawer, and so we don't see it as an active problem. The minute we put things into bins or drawers or organize, it feels handled, and so we stop questioning what's actually in there and if we even need it. It feels organized, and that doesn't register as clutter to us. Plus, these are spaces where the preparedness mindset can kick in as well, right? Having backup shampoo or extra pain relievers, travel products, we hold on to these because it feels responsible to have these things on hand. So this is a sneaky trap. When we organize instead of actually reducing, the house might look better for a little while, but it never feels different, and it is prone to fall apart very quickly, which I'm sure is something that all of us have experienced when we feel like we've organized and decluttered something only for it to feel really messy and cluttered again very quickly, because the stuff is still there and it just keeps coming in. So here's what finally really started changing for me when it came to understanding this decluttering mistake. I stopped starting with bins. Okay, so before I was always trying to make my clutter look better. How can I make this clutter look presentable, right? Seems silly when you think about it that way, but it was what I was doing until I finally realized that making my clutter presentable was not sustainable, because now I have to be in charge of keeping the clutter looking good. I was giving myself a job and it felt like a full-time job. And then I had 4 kids in 7 years and I did not have the bandwidth for it anymore. I gave my 2 weeks notice to the job of clutter organizer and, said my farewells. Now, I don't want to pretend like it was really that easy. Like in 2 weeks, I just flipped some switch and all of a sudden I could spot my clutter really easily. It has been a very slow progression over the years, but I am now really at a place where before anything goes into a container or into a drawer, I decide what's leaving first. I dump it out, I sort it. I get really ruthless with these products because if you are soft with your clutter, you're going to end up keeping most of it, because a lot of the stuff in our home is useful or practical or it has value. So you gotta be a little bit more tough with it. Otherwise, you're just going to keep everything. Ask yourself these questions about your clutter. Do I actually use this? Did I forget this existed? This one blows my mind every time. Is this worth the space that is taking up? If a scenario happened where I needed this item, would I remember I had it? Or would I know where it was? If I put this in the basement for a few months, would anyone notice? Would I buy this again? If the answer is no to literally any of these questions, then this item probably doesn't need a prettier home. It needs to leave your home. Decluttering is subtraction. It is not reorganizing. It's not relocating. It is removing. And the more and more I've pushed the boundaries on decluttering, the more I've removed, the more I can see how much easier my home is to manage when there is less stuff. And I feel like personally, I had a really big aha moment last spring when I challenged myself to do a 1,000 item declutter. And I remember in the weeks afterwards, my life felt so light. It was so easy and simple. And I felt like finally, after years of using different decluttering habits, finally, it like all really clicked into place. I realized the problem had never been my organization. It was the amount of stuff that I was trying to organize. So instead of just organizing stuff, here are some of the ways that I have found to actually declutter in a way that kind of sticks. So I'm not just decluttering over and over and over again and organizing my clutter, but actually using systems to control the flow. I like that. Control the flow. No, that is not even what I meant to say. I do like control the flow, but that's not what I meant to say. I meant to say keep your clutter low. Let's just take two. Actually using systems to keep the clutter low. So tip number one is to slow your inflow first. You cannot declutter your way out of a house that is still filling up at just as fast a pace. The average household is getting a package every 2 days. It is estimated that in America, one kid brings in about 70 new toys every year. We buy 60% more clothing than we did 20 years ago. And the US Bureau of Labor cites that the average household spends $30,000 a year just on goods alone. We're bringing in more than ever, with American households holding 3 times more stuff than we did in the 1950s. So it doesn't matter how much you're donating or throwing away out the back if the clutter is still just coming in through the front door. Here are my 2 super simple ways to slow the flow. See, I knew I said slow the flow at some point. Create limits so stuff can't quietly pile up. Use a one in, one out mindset and set caps on categories. If a new thing comes in, something else has to leave. And when a bin or shelf or set of hangers is full, then that's the limit. No more expanding extra space to fit more stuff. And the next one is pause before you buy. Instead of grabbing something the second you want it or you think you need it, write it down and wait. Even 24 hours makes a difference, though personally I suggest waiting a week if you can. I find it the most effective. Most of the quick buys disappear once you've given yourself a little space. I've learned that most of our needs are just wants dressed up with urgency, so remove the urgency. I think I said there were 2 tips. I have 3 tips, and tip number 3 is remove frictionless buying. It is way too easy to buy things these days, so you need to make it a little harder. Personally, I've deleted all the shopping apps from my phone. I don't save credit card information on my computer for one-click shopping. Just the little bit of friction can help us to not buy something. Tip number 2, stop hopping from space to space when you declutter. Decluttering randomly, a drawer here, a closet there, typically will just end up redistributing your clutter. So I find that focusing on one area completely is a lot more effective, even if you need to split it up into a few days to complete the entire project before moving on to another. Declutter one space to completion. Tip number 3, constantly question your just in case stuff. If you wouldn't remember that you own it, wouldn't go looking for it, forgot you had it, or could easily replace it later, it probably doesn't need to live in your house right now. I know that is easier said than done, but getting brutal with our just in case stuff is usually one of the most monumental changes that we can make when it comes to decluttering. So if you have been feeling frustrated with decluttering not working, it's probably not you. Most of us have been organizing instead of really reducing. So once you start really focusing on what is leaving your home and you slow what's coming in and you stop hiding clutter in like pretty containers, that's when your home is going to finally start to feel a lot lighter and the organization is going to feel like it's coming a lot more naturally. I'm going to link a couple of my printables down below that I think might help you out. A few of them are my free ones, like my 1,000 item declutter challenge. I also have a 30-day to a cleaner home ebook, as well as a closet declutter guide that could all help you sort of get started. As always, thank you so much for stopping by and watching. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Please remember to be kind to yourself and to others, and I will see you all in my next video.